Hello there, it is time to review Avatar Fire and Ash. I have been looking forward to this film a lot. This has been one of my most anticipated films of the year. Finally got to watch it. Nutshell review, great visuals, incredible amounts of beauty in this film, at least from an aesthetic perspective. There's a lot of great moments, but when you put it all together, it is easily the weakest Avatar film and possibly one of the weaker films in James Cameron's career. I honestly came out of this disappointed and frustrated. It is a film that you should definitely watch on the big screen, but it is not a film that I think will satisfy you all the way through. So that is a brief review. I want to dig deeper into details and tell you exactly what worked and what did not. There might be mild spoilers. Again, these are not huge spoilers, just mild things I want to touch on. So you're warned. Let's get into it. So what really works? Let's get that out of the way, right? Like what works in the film is, of course, as I said, the visuals. They are incredible, astounding. The fact that Cameron has pulled off something like this for the third time is in itself an achievement. Like every time that man makes a film, it like breaks rules of cinema, it creates a new era for cinema and all of that stuff. Everything is true. Like the fact that you're just able to feel the water that's on screen, like every drop of it feels real, every strand of hair on Jake Sully's head feels real. Like all of these things, the amount of attention to detail in the cinematography, in the visuals, in the way this entire world was crafted, in the way these characters are crafted, in itself is an achievement. So I think that is absolutely the best thing about the entire film. Beyond that, I also loved this character they introduced in the film called Varang, played perfectly by Una Chaplin. This character is just incredible. She's essentially a part of the Fire and Ash tribe, who are also Navis, but they are not very spiritual or connected to the ecosystem as the other tribes are. They are very hyper manic, and they have this thirst for power and control, and that's really what makes this tribe way more interesting. And Varang in particular is a bit psychosexually charged, and I think that's a really interesting layer and leads to some really entertaining sequences, and especially one sequence which just feels like a psychedelic drug trip. That has to be one of the best moments in the entire film. It was so well shot, it was so unique, and it was very entertaining. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, everything around the character of Varang is really nice, but I just wish that they explored the Fire and Ash tribe much better. Like this is a tribe that had a lot of potential. So much like Way of Water, right, where Cameron just goes into every single detail of living life in water, and how Jake Sully's family kind of adapts to that. I think that's what the approach for this film should have been. They should have really gone into the depths of the Fire and Ash tribe, how they operate, how their ecosystem works. All of these things are really interesting and they're never explored. Like it just like, okay, these are the Fire and Ash tribe, these people can control fire, thank you, and the movie goes on. So I just felt like there was way too much of, there was a treasure chest of ideas there that was never tapped into, and I don't know, it just felt like wasted potential, and I really would have loved to know more about them. Beyond that, I think you get everything you really need from a film like this. It's a big, huge, epic action blockbuster, and it's all there. The action sequences are fantastic. It has some moments that are probably one of the best in the franchise. The way the action is shot, it's very exciting. Especially towards the first half, there's like this aerial action set piece that I really enjoyed. But overall as well, like this is a very well made film all the way through, and it's not particularly a bad film. Like I don't think I can categorize this as a bad film, especially with the amount of effort that went into making it. But I just don't think everything works in its situation. It's like this huge movie where you can see every bit of expense on screen, but there's really nothing inside it. It feels very hollow and empty, and that's really what bothered me for most of the viewing experience. It felt very surface level, and that's kind of strange, given how successful the first two films are in giving you that exact experience, in immersing you into this world of Pandora. This film really doesn't do that, and that's where it all falters. Now, this movie does not need to be 197 minutes long. Like, I was exhausted by the end of it, and not because it was like a frantic non-stop chase or something. It was genuinely exhausting. It drained a lot from me. Like, I usually don't have a problem sitting through films this long as they're engaging or interesting, because I watched tons of long films and all of them in one sitting. I don't really mind, but I think here there's nothing really investing after the 2-hour mark, and that it has to drag on for another 90 minutes or whatever, because I completely was disengaged towards the end. I think the entire final fight, I was like just holding my head like this and watching, because it was just so stretched out and unnecessary, and I don't know, I mean, it really made me feel exhausted. I was like, guys, can we just wrap this up? I just want to go. Let's just wrap it up. And that's really my mental state towards the end, you know. It was just like that. Like, I was just waiting for it to end. And I don't know, man. It's very weird. Like, usually Cameron is really good at his endings, like this final fight, which feels long, but it really has that impact. It did not here. It really, really did not. Beyond that, I also think there's a lot of wasted potential here. Like, see, I've read that Cameron basically wanted to make this a part of Way of Water. So Way of Water was like this huge film, including the events of, you know, whatever happens in this film as well. And that makes a lot of sense when you watch the film. Like, it makes tons of sense. Like, it feels like a complete story that was divided into two parts, and the second part did not have enough substance as the first part. Or I think there was a completely different structure there. Like, I think the events of Way of Water were happening kind of simultaneously with the Fire and Ash tribe introduced, and that's how the story probably would have gone. And I think that would have been way more interesting, as opposed to being split into two parts and he just had to make another film for that. It felt like an extension of the second film, and not in a good way, because there are a lot of plot threads that they keep repeating from the second one, from Way of Water, and it feels like we get it, just move on. And also, the funny part is, like, when you take this film from beginning to end, right, and you look at the characters and their realizations, their arcs, nothing really changes. Like, if you just completely ignore this film, whatever happened at the end of Way of Water is more or less the state in which the film exists towards the end of this movie. It's baffling how little things of effect actually happen in the film. I'm not saying like this nothing happens. I mean, of course, there's a big tribe, they're fighting, and there's like all out war, but the consequence of these actions are minimal and barely add anything to the expanded universe, and they really feel like a filler episode of a TV show. It's a very well made filler episode that's also 3 hours 17 minutes long for some reason, but it is a filler episode. Like, it's not canon. It just feels like a side quest all these characters are going on, and it really doesn't yield much in the end. I didn't feel rewarded for sitting through 3 hours and 17 minutes of this stuff. And that was really disappointing, because usually the Avatar movies have been rewarding in their own sense. I've always been a defender of Way of Water. It is, to me, the definitive Avatar film. I like it more than the original. I think it does everything right. It also did a great thing, especially when it comes to us being a sequel, right? Like, usually sequels have to really expand on the original, add something new, and I think that movie did it right. It completely changed the ecosystem. The first one was around a forest, and the second one is around water, so there's a completely different ecosystem that the characters have to learn and adapt. And the second thing is, you get new characters introduced, like basically Jake Sully's family, their his sons, his daughters, all of them, and they really are it's way more interesting that way. You have so many characters to follow around, to understand them, to see how they operate, and it's just great. It had a really great and entertaining story, especially the detail in which Cameron went into exploring these tribes and how they exist in the water. All of that was fascinating to me. and none of that exists in Fire and Ash, like that detailing or even that addition of something new that grabs onto you, like that was missing. And I think it could have been easily compensated if they explored more of Fire and Ash, the tribe, and that's sadly missing. So again, a film is riddled with a lot of issues in terms of writing as well. There are some scenes that just come up out of the blue. There's not really a flow in that sense, like especially some scenes were very jarringly edited. I don't know, maybe I it was just me who felt that way, but I think some scenes they did not flow well into each other. Like it just felt like boom, there's another scene. I'm like, okay, what happened to the previous one? It didn't feel like there was some rhythm to the entire film. And yeah, so I had tons of issues with this movie, like in general, beyond the visual spectacle, beyond that immersion of watching it in the big screen. I really did not find much else for me to really recommend the film from a storytelling perspective, from a cinematic perspective, from the perspective of direction, or anything else that really stood out for me. It's very, very little. And also when you look at characters, like what this is the biggest problem, and I already talked about this before, but just to give you an example, if you look at where Quadrich, Sully and Spider are in this film towards the end of it, it's literally the exact same conflict being repeated from the end of the second film. And the best part is the second film, the ending entirely takes place on this ship and there's water and all that. Same ending, I'm not even joking, literally same ending. Too much deja vu moments, and after a point you realize it's not deja vu, it's just literally the same. And yeah, a lot of repetition in that sense. I really want to know what was going on in Cameron's head when he was doing all of this. So I think it all makes sense when you think that it's the same story, but man, this is way too similar and way too familiar territory for me to be entertained once again. So I'm not opposed to the idea of Avatar 4 and 5, totally bring them on, I'll totally watch it, but I just think that they need to have something radically different and unique to actually work. I think this one really did not have that factor, that USP that really kind of holds everything together. I think 4 and 5 need to be radically different, or need to change the setting, really need to do something different for them to work out in a bigger way. So I honestly, I'm still interested, but I'm not like eager to watch the next part. I mean, whenever it comes out, what I honestly think? I think Cameron should take a little bit of time out and make a different film, like explore a different world, different characters. He should just get out of this Avatar space that he's been in for more than a decade. Like he should really do something different and take it from there. Like I feel like he's a great filmmaker who's just really caught up in his own world, and I think he needs that change as well, and we as audience also need that change, from just having Avatar, because he's an incredible filmmaker, and it almost feels like there are more stories out there that need his touch. So I would be excited if Cameron actually goes out and makes something different and original. So that is something I'll be looking forward to. But if he continues to make Avatar 4 and 5, it's fine, I'll still watch it, but I just need it to have some substance and something more interesting than whatever Avatar 3 turned out to be. I think that's about it. That's all the thoughts that I have on this film. It's fine, it's nothing recommendable, but I guess if you want to watch it, you just have to watch it on the big screen. You can't really wait for OTT and then sit on your couch and watch it. That's not going to give you the same experience. So if you are planning to watch it, only watch it in theaters. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's really about all I can say about the film. So thank you very, very, very much for watching. Stay tuned for more such videos. I really want to know what you guys thought about the film. It'll be an interesting discussion to have, because there are a lot of mixed reactions to the film. So I'd be interested to see what you guys think about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again.